welcome to the Underleveled Podcast. I'm Bjorn.
I'm hushav. I'm full of energy today.
Really? Which is weird, considering we're recording not at, in the usual spot, and it's after you've had a full day of work.
This is generally how I am after work. No, I'm not. I usually, full disclosure, I eat and then I take this blanket and I just lie on this couch.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do it in my room because I feel like bad.
You don't want to cross your streams there.
Mm.
That being said, speaking of crossing streams, you now have a full gaming setup in your bedroom.
How'd you go from streams to...
Because you were talking about not just relaxing and chilling out in your bedroom, and yet now you have one of the devils of the stuff you should not, one of the 7 deadly sins of stuff you shouldn't have in your bedroom.
No, I can no longer bitch about the i3 processor. Aren't you so happy about that?
Honestly, so for a bit of context, hushav bought a gaming PC, and it arrived on Friday last week and got it all set up by Saturday
morning, yeah.
And last night, hushav sends me a photo of his screen saying
playing Hades 2.
Hades 2.
Oh my
god!
And
just the caption was just I've got a tear in my eye. Dude, how long have you been thinking of this?
I texted my other friend about it. He was like, "How's the new PC going?" Because he saw me playing Jedi Survival on Discord.
Jedi Survivors.
Star Wars Jedi Survival. Do you not know it?
There's a lot of Star Wars games. I haven't watched those.
Anyways, he was like, "So how's Survival going?" And I was like, I feel like those people in those videos that get surgery to see color for the first time in their life.
You mean Logan Paul?
I forgot he faked that.
That's one of my favorite pieces of Logan Paul lore.
He was just now wrestling in Jeddah. Is that in Saudi Arabia?
I don't know.
Doing his thing, jumping up top ropes, putting people through tables.
Oh, I remember we talked about
He did that at WrestleMania, but I think at WrestleMania, I can't remember who his opponent was, but they moved out the way at the last minute. But in this one, he actually hit his opponent who was on the outside on the table. So
I think we talked about this, and you said that the wrestlers actually were kind of frustrated with how good of a showman he is.
Yeah, they were like, he gets it.
Yeah.
Because WWE's always had celebrities come in just for clout. And you can see they really don't care about the business. They're just here to promote something. Where Logan Paul's he's fully in it.
Yeah.
For the long run. I mean, I think he's still the current United States champion. I don't know. I haven't kept up with WWE in a while. More for AEW and New Japan, man.
Mm-hmm. But you gross wrestling.
Wrestling's great.
Wrestling is a sport. And
wrestling,
we as anime fans do not play sport.
Wrestling and anime are the same. And I love it that so many wrestlers are anime fans, and you get references now to anime fights in wrestling.
When are we gonna get Gear 5 on Triple H or something?
Triple H is a retired wrestler, man. Come on, man. It's you know nothing.
I do. The only person I genuinely loved back in the day, and because he looked, I don't know, like a Power Ranger or something, was Rey Mysterio. Because he had the mask and he was agile.
His son is a wrestler now. That's Dominic Mysterio.
So weird to have wrestling be your family business. Because you think about it, when you think of actual luchadors or what's it?
But Rey
taijutsu and stuff.
They come from a luchador family.
For real?
Yeah.
I thought it was just a classic piece of appropriation.
No.
For real?
Yeah. So the Mexican kind of we'll call it the Mexican WWE is called. Though the big one is CMLL, but there's also AAA. And a lot of times, any of the luchadors you see now on WWE, they made their name in CMLL or in AAA, and they came over.
That's super cool, actually. I was completely unaware.
No, there's a huge luchador family. Oh, why am I blanking on his name? He's married to Charlotte Flair, who's the Nature Boy Ric Flair's daughter, who was one of the most illustrious wrestlers. Oh my. Almas. Oh, but he's a beautiful man. I'll find the picture and I'll put it up. Andre Almas.
Either way, hushav, let's step away from wrestling for a second, because even though the storylines are super complicated and so out there in wrestling, we're focusing on a different medium that has super out there and weird storylines, and that is isekai anime.
So grounded in reality and science.
Not escapist at all. So today we're going to be ranking the top 50 anime. Sorry, someone's coming for hushav.
Wow, why? Why, Bjorn? Why are they coming for me?
Because you're just so good looking, it's illegal. We're ranking the top 50.
50?
Okay, look. We'll see how far we get. We do have a time limit, but
we have a time limit.
But top 50 isekai anime
I
of
just used
all
a lot
time.
of time limit on wrestling.
Hushav, I'm trying to do the intro right now. My goodness.
Why'd you tell me we had a time limit? Why'd you choose 50 anime? I don't think I've watched 50.
So
I've watched
what
a
I
lot
did,
of it, yeah.
I went onto my anime list, and I went
Your
into
personal anime list, or
no, just the website, my anime
Okay.
list, and I looked at the top 50 isekai of all time. I didn't do individual seasons. I looked at the shows themselves, because sometimes different like the same show will have different seasons ranked at different points. Whack. I just found the top 50 unique anime, and I skipped over like sequels, seasons, and whatever. So we're doing this in the sense of the anime as a whole, not based on individual seasons. And I think I did skip one, but I can't remember what it was. Either way, I made this tier list. If you happen to be watching this and you want to rank them yourselves, please feel free. Go. You can find this on tiermaker.com, and you find the exact name of the website actually. Tiermaker.com. And it's just called the top 50 isekai anime.
Now, do you know the names to every single anime?
So, do you know? Because we had two options for this. We had either like shonen from the 2010s onwards, and we had isekai. And I was like, I've watched a fair bit of isekai. I'm sure there'll be some that I don't know. So as I was making this today, I was just going through, and I thought to myself, not only do I know everything in the top, barring like a few, I also know my knowledge of isekai is like the best of the best. Then it skips the mid portion around like the 7-point mark, and then just the trash that's like scored 5 and 4 and stuff. I know either the best or the worst of the worst. Dude, I watch way too much isekai.
In the mid. I don't think I watch like the trash.
You're entirely mid.
Yeah.
So I'm ashamed and also somehow proud that I can, to some degree, talk about pretty much every single anime on this list. At some point, we will do the show.
I'm gonna lean on you for some of these, but
no, for sure. But you will know quite a few, and there's a lot that are just not worth talking about.
I'm looking at some of these now in the top row, and I think there's about. There's a few. There's some that I recognize, but I definitely haven't checked out. Like that first one on the list, the Spider Reincarnation anime. There's actually one I've been meaning to check out.
Let's not get into any of them just yet, because I am genuinely so like, I've got opinions on that one. I've got opinions on all of them. If I can't find the like thing to go to a different page. There we go. Okay. So I'm also going to have my anime list up as well in case we need a bit of context. I didn't include movies. That was the one thing. So if something was a movie, I did not
so you're traditional. You went to the traditional seasonal anime.
Yeah, all the seasonal anime are on here. So without wasting too much more time, let's just quickly go through the tiers of the tier list. So starting with S, then going A, B, C, and F, I think. But what are the names of the tiers? So what is our S tier, Hushav?
Beam me up, Truck-kun.
Essentially just meaning this is such an awesome anime, and I want to immediately be transported there by Truck-kun. Our A tier is to proudly sit down and watch with parents. It is something that it's not quite, you don't necessarily want to be taken there immediately, but you wouldn't mind sitting your parents down and being like, hey guys, let me show you what the world's made out of.
Let's watch some Game of Thrones to get a moment.
Especially season 1. Do you know, that's what the season 1 of Game of Thrones had so much nudity and like sex scenes and stuff, and then it immediately got toned down in the other like later seasons. I think it's like a weird.
They kind of invented this thing called sex position.
I think many different people have invented the sex positions.
No. Sex position as in sex exposition, where exposition was given while sex was had.
Oh, dude, is it like a weird Gen Z thing of like playing Subway Surfer while? Was that? Did they do that? But for like HBO?
For just HBO execs.
Dude, those boardroom meetings were wild. Okay, so just talk us through the mid tier, please.
My favorite. Practically just a fantasy anime.
Right, so just enjoyable, like nothing too crazy.
Like
about
that's
it.
like a lot of like the video game ones. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you if you count the video game ones as isekais, so your SAOs, your Shangri-Las, Log Horizon.
So they weren't actually on this like genre list, weirdly enough.
Yeah, they
because
kinda can be considered an isekai.
I think there are some on here that, like Digimon's on here, but I think because
we'll talk about
yeah,
Digimon,
we can talk about this more. But okay, so that's practically just a fantasy anime. That's the mid range there. So it's nothing too special. It's just like your standard. Then our D tier is it's easier to say I'm watching. It's not the worst of the worst.
We might have to censor that for YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. Easier to say I'm watching corn.
Okay, let me just type in here while we're at it. But it's just like you don't want to have to explain the concept of an isekai, especially if you're watching something slightly trashy. And if someone walks into your room, you kind of just want to be like,
I don't know. There's one already that's in my head which I would be putting there.
I don't. I'm very curious to know what it is.
And you probably know what it is because we both really enjoy it also.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so hushav, what is our bottom tier? This is the trashiest of the trash.
Are you sure it doesn't start S from the bottom?
No, I'm very certain.
Are we sure S is not the
I'm
bottom?
100% certain, hushav.
I'd rather watch Redo of a Healer on repeat.
All right. So that is our lowest tier. That's the stuff that is just genuine garbage. And
as always, if you don't know anime, never watch Redo of a Healer.
I think the weird thing with anime or like isekai specifically for me is that like something can be incredibly trashy, but as a result, it almost swings back to being something worth watching, just because like it's so bad that it just becomes such a hilarious like show to enjoy.
No, but like
so something like that would not fall into this category.
Yeah.
It's genuinely just the stuff that's a chore to watch and is just so whack and out there that it's not worth anyone's time.
But I feel like we're gonna have a lot in practically just a fantasy anime because I feel like there was like a certain few years where authors were just like killing somebody and putting them into a fantasy world just because having an isekai was the thing.
Yeah.
And then they almost would never not recommend refer back to their past life at all. Like they would take none of that knowledge of being in a modern day world in that fantasy.
There was no purpose to being transported to another world. Like it genuinely, in like a lot of the instances, there was no callback to their original life at all either. So it's just like, so it could have just been a fantasy anime. And they spend the first 3 minutes of the actual like first episode just getting into the fantasy world, which is,
There's already one that immediately pops into my head.
Okay.
Which is, yeah, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it when we get there. But okay, let's get moving on the actual tier list now. So,
start from the top.
Starting from the top? Okay.
Start
so
from
the
the
first
top.
one is this one over here. It is I'm a spider, or like if I'm a spider, so what?
Now, I have not watched this, but it is one of those ones I've always I said, I'm going to watch it, but the fact that it's also 24 episodes, there's a season 2, right?
There is a season 2. So it's Japanese, Kumo desu ga Nanika, and then So I'm a Spider, So What? 24 episodes was from 2021. Genuinely so good. I enjoyed it so much. I was like always glued to my seat when it was on.
I know the community definitely loved it. They were always making memes. It always ranked really highly. I mean, not like that high. Like always around like 4, 5, 6 in the Reddit popularity contest.
So like the basic thing was, I think a girl and all her classmates were transported to another world, but she fell through the cracks and ended up as a spider. She was reincarnated as a spider,
and the rest of her classmates were like heroes.
Yeah, pretty much. So you sometimes do get like flashbacks and stuff to her class as is the standard, but she then goes. She goes and she levels up and she becomes different. Like she has like an evolution path that becomes. It's very standard.
I've seen.
She herself is like a rare kind of spider, and she gets these skills. It's such a funny anime as well. There are just so many moments where I genuinely laughed out loud instead of just breathing heavily out my nostrils. as you are doing now. So for me, I could probably put this down.
Is it on any streaming list besides
do you know the
Crunchyroll?
most frustrating part? I haven't actually gone to check if the manga is continued, but we haven't gotten a second season of the anime.
Really? I felt like it had a second season.
Unless it's coming up. It might be coming up in one of the like in the next year or so, but we just have these 24 episodes to go off of. I really enjoyed them. It is not unfinished.
Well, maybe I'll check it. Right now I'm rewatching Hibiki. Well, not rewatching, watching for the first time
Hibiki Euphonium. Not an isekai though.
Not an isekai, but like I need to do, if I can keep to like one old anime, I think it'll be fine while I keep up with all the new stuff also.
So weird to think of Hibiki Euphonium as old.
Yeah.
Like when was the first season?
2010.
2010.
Like.
Jeepers. Okay, but we can't spend too long on each anime, otherwise we're gonna be.
I'm gonna have to lean on you for this one. I know its reputation, but I haven't watched it, so
might as well start strong. Put this in. Proudly sit down and watch with parents. I think it doesn't have a lot of the like negative tropes that you often find with like isekai, just of being kind of gross and fan servicey. It's because the main character, she's just a spider, man.
Is she like overpowered in the beginning, or it's like a build up to her being overpowered?
It's a good build up for sure. I think and it's not like that weird thing where you just get such a crazy amount of skills that like, and then like for instance
usually they start off with some broken skill, and then
but sometimes they also just get like 5,000 skills and you only ever see 3 of them used.
Yeah.
Like with what's it? Reincarnated as a slime that happens. There's a show this season as well called Re-Monster where the same kind of thing is happening. So it's just, I genuinely think it's a very well-rounded one that's kind of almost good for the whole family. That's why proudly sit down and watch with friends.
Momsy and Popsy.
Okay. Yojo Senki. It was like
Tanya of the Evil.
Yeah, Tanya the Evil is her.
It's great. I had such a good time watching this show just because I didn't exactly know what I was getting into when I was starting it.
Yeah.
But it's great to watch a villain just do her stuff.
The premise is she is what?
He
was a man and then gets reincarnated with like
he was a salary man in Japan who then gets reincarnated as this girl.
This little girl, but he, I don't know, bears some sort of a grudge against the god of the world, but has to use, it's a religiously based power system. So it is almost like a World War II-ish kind of era, but with magic.
Fly around, they have these magical rifles.
Yeah, but
really fun. Really great action also.
It very well. Do you know, I do struggle to remember a lot of the story just because it
came like what?
2017. 7 years ago, jeepers. Yeah. And it was only 12 episodes. Oh, there was a second season though. There was.
Was there?
I think it's on the second page of search results.
I think there was a movie.
Yeah. There was a movie. Sorry, you're right. I don't have too much to say except pretty solid. I would recommend this.
It's a very solid one. And it's also like one of those few where she's technically a villain. She's technically fighting for Germany.
Yeah. Here's a question though. Where do we put it? I think it's a very solid isekai. Genuinely, and it's different enough and interesting enough that sets it apart from a lot of the riffraff that I would normally put in the like practically just a fantasy anime.
I would say proudly sit down and watch.
Yeah. Above or below? I think it is a bit more like interesting, I guess, and has a bit.
It has a bit of a hook because we've seen the spider one numerous times.
Okay. This is. Do you know there's like 5 or 6 Otome game isekais on here? I don't know what it is.
And you didn't want to group them all together.
We can try and find them, but I need to try and find the actual name because I think it's a light novel kind of length name.
Is another villainess.
So the premise of this one is that it's a guy who gets reborn in a world where women are in charge, pretty much. So it's kind of like an Otome game, kind of, but you follow a man because, you know.
A man? No!
But basically, the dumbest part of it is like men are like super subservient to women but it's not like, but it gets switched so quickly. It's called Trapped in a Dating Sim. The world of an Otome game is like super hard as a mob. the dumbest part is like the whole premise of the world is that men are subservient to women.
Yeah.
But it gets switched so fast, and now like he just ends up super overpowered with a harem of women following him around. Very trashy.
2 years ago, and I do not remember this at all.
I didn't remember until it came up. I was like, why does this cover look familiar? But yeah, he gains power quite fast and like collects things from, I don't know, when this was actually a game. He knows like cheats and all that kind of stuff. Nothing too crazy. I think it's leaning towards trashy, but isn't genuine trash. I'd probably put it in easier to say I'm watching Korn, just because based on like my description of it, like it's tough to describe.
And how does it compare to the other ones we'll talk about? Definitely on the lower end of them.
It's actually I think it's better than like just your average trash.
So
but
maybe
it's not good. It's not necessarily good fantasy either. Like
how do they handle the elements, because it's a dating sim? Is it actually like incorporating those elements, or is it again just like this is the hook, but this is still just a fantasy world?
I think for the romance parts of it, the woman just became inexplicably attracted to him for like very little. So if we were ranking it just on like the romance element, it wouldn't be very good at all.
Okay.
I want to put it in easier to say I'm watching Korn, just because it's a bit weird. I might bump it up, but it'll be at the top of this group. It will never go like it'll be the top of the trash, I guess.
We'll see.
Followed immediately by an actual Otome game.
Is that the villainous one?
This is a villainous-esque kind of show. Kanojo ga Kashoku, I don't know why Raeliana ended up at the Duke's mansion. So this is one I actually have not seen, but it's ranked quite high for an Otome game kind of show. So when after her sudden death, Rinko Hanasaki is reborn at is reborn as Raeliana Macmillan. She is not sure whether to curse her luck. She was a minor character in the novel she read, and is the eldest daughter of a new rich baron. She led a carefree life until her unfortunate demise at the hands of her fiancé. So this is all about how in the book that she read, the character that she gets reincarnated as, gets killed by her fiance, and she befriends the actual male protagonist of the main like male love interest of the novel series, and in order to prevent her death.
Okay, so
essentially.
Isekai into a book, that's a bit different.
Isekai into a book.
But I'm also saying, since we both haven't seen it, it's got a 7.5 rating, just straight into fantasy.
I think, this is probably pretty solid, but since we can't really rank it too highly. So the next one, this is an older one, actually, from a good... Did you see what I saw?
No.
There's an actual hentai on this list.
What's a hentai?
I don't know, dude. I have no clue what that is.
If you never brought attention to it...
No, I'm going to have to... Okay, so this is Now and Then, Here and There, which has a very similar name to, like, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I recently watched Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Such a good movie.
But this is from 1999, so Now and Then, Here and There, all about this boy who gets transported to a desert world, and a girl...
Lisa Nagaev?
And a girl who's his friend essentially has a pendant that
Zendaya?
Can create... What? What's your name?
Yeah.
I am
pendant with water.
I have never seen this, but in terms of premise, it is one of the more interesting ones. I unfortunately cannot... I think
this is another one. I've never heard of this till right now.
It was also from 19... There's a few on this list that are from like the 90s and early 2000s, which could potentially classify them as one of the OG isekai animes.
Are you telling me SAO is not the original isekai?
Do you know SAO is not on this list?
Good.
SAO is not in here because it's not an isekai, which is an argument with...
constantly have to fight people about this.
But I think we could probably put this in this... honestly, this group is probably going to be filled with a good couple of things we haven't watched.
Yeah.
Unless I can say
It's
for
almost
certain.
like we shouldn't have put 50 anime.
It's for anyone that watches or listens and they want to go in and like do it themselves, because maybe they have watched random stuff like now and then here and there, or there's one later called like
Yeah, if you've watched any of
Castle
these ones
of
that we
Escaflowne.
haven't, let us know.
Okay, so the next one I've never watched, but I can easily put it to say easier to say I'm watching Corn, because okay, so this one over here, let me just find the name, because it is I think it's ranked quite decently on MAL, but premise wise, it is I need to stop scrolling past that little section there. Okay, so the Familiar of Zero. This is one of the seasons, but the basic premise of this is a fantasy world.
Yes.
This premise is from a later season, but it's a fantasy world wherein you have like royals and elitists like culture, and the like royals like wield magic. But one of the girls, she's a royal. She goes to the academy. She has no like magical power.
She's not like most girls.
She's not like most girls, right? But so when they're doing exercises to summon familiars, she happens to summon a boy from, our world. She summons a boy from Japan. So that's the premise of the show. Not gonna be super like, I've never watched it, so I cannot speak how good that is. The thing that stood out to me, there's two things. First of all, there are multiple seasons, which says a lot. Either because it's from the original is from
JC stuff.
But I think it's from like the early 2000s was the first season of the show. The other important thing is that when he gets summoned, right, he has a mark on his hand, and it is the symbol for one of the most powerful magicians of this fantasy world. But now, hushav, if you had to guess what the name of this mark is, would you be... Think about famous magicians.
Gandalf. Dumbledore.
The mark stands for
Merlin.
Gandalf. There's just an R at the end of Gandalf. Dude, I read that. I was like, it reminded me of like epic movie where it's Gnarnia for for copyright reasons.
What was that? There was the other one when like when not Godzilla is like attacking, and then they're like, Godzilla! It's like, actually it's not Godzilla for like legal reasons or whatever.
Dude, gives the exact same kind of vibe. That it's so funny to me that it's just most powerful wizard Gandalf. Gandalf.
They took it to his publishers like, legally we can't do this. And I was like, all right, R. Amazing, you've done it again.
So that's the only thing that stood out to me. I might, if I'm
Harry
desperate,
Potter.
They'd put an extra R at the end of Potter, and an extra R in Harry as well.
Harry.
So I kind of just want to put it in. I'll put it in easy to say I'm watching Corn, just because it'll probably be.
No.
Were you doing the ReZero sound by any chance?
Every time Giga puts it in his fucking videos, I just lose it.
So good. So that's Look, this group is just gonna be full of things that we haven't watched but have decent ratings. Okay, the next one. Is this Eska?
Something looks like Al Hazard.
Yes, okay, Al Hazard, thank you.
What's wrong with your eyes?
Dude, they're so bad. I think it was on the second page, truth be told. Dude, this searching thing is going to be so... There we go, The Familiar of Zero. There's another season over here. You can...
What was that, 2008?
2008, so that must have been the second season, potentially. Is that it? Yes, to go. Shimpi no Sekai Al Hazard. So after Makoto agrees to testify... whatever, the real life stuff doesn't necessarily matter. Essentially, he gets transported to another world, but a couple of other people get caught in the blast, like a teacher and some other students and whatever. But the basic thing is that he is, almost like a chosen one. He gets transported to a world called Al Hazard.
I think I've actually seen clips of this.
And then there's just like a bunch of, adventures that they go on. and they, it just says they become entangled in the story of its inhabitants. With
sounds like
almost
Narnia.
Kind of, right? So this was also in 1995, 7 episodes. Of the ones I haven't seen that I would actually potentially watch, I'd say it's this one.
Why?
Because I think bringing in not just a single individual, but at the same time not doing a whole class, which always almost just gives like a whole bunch of fodder. Like, there's so many anime or isekais where they bring the whole class and the rest of the class is just there for fucking...
Yeah, it's usually just like the popular girl, the popular boy, the bully, your main protagonist.
And then like 30 other random characters they can throw in for whatever reason they want. So I'd put this at the top of this group just because it actually has like, some built-in relationships and stuff.
Sure.
Then, okay, so Digimon.
Digimon!
Are we going to say Digimon is actually an isekai here?
Yeah.
Okay, because they
don't die, but they get transported to another world.
They do get transported.
Which is what isekai means.
Whereas in stuff like SAO, they...
in a virtual world.
They technically log into a game and stuff. Whereas Digimon, they literally get transported to another world.
The digital world.
Digital monsters, Digimon are the
champions.
Okay. But
I guess we're going to talk about all the Digimons at once. Or
yeah. Oh, this is specifically like, I think, Digimon Adventures.
So Adventures 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. Great show. Probably one of the first anime I must have watched as a child.
Okay. I can't remember anything about Digimon.
Really?
At all. I think I watched a bit. I might have collected the cards for
I was there. I was in there.
It
was great.
But where do you want to chuck it? Honestly, I think this could be quite a fast one, but I will lean on you for it.
I mean, Digimon is such a classic and was really, I think, Digimon and Pokemon were like, I think the first real taste for like 90s anime enjoyers. I don't know. Well, the thing that got people into it.
Okay.
Probably around the 90s. So I think we have to show it some respect. That being said, it's not like the best. Like, it had some really good like story elements to it. But like behind the scenes, there was a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Not controversy, but like there were too many cooks in the kitchen, and so a lot of plot points don't
come to
go,
fruition.
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
I think one of the big ones is there's technically supposed to be like a Cthulhu and like an Eldritch God type Digimon, which Kairi, the main protagonist, I don't know the Japanese name. I'm sorry, I only know the English names of these guys. So Kai's sister Kairi was seeing visions of this like Cthulhu-esque Digimon. And that was like a really cool plot point that just never got picked up. But anyways, yeah, bit of a tangent. But I would proudly sit down and watch my parents.
Okay.
Because I actually did proudly sit down and watch with your parents. My dad took me to watch the Digimon movie.
Oh, wow. That's quite nice. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's see. Next one is not radio over healer, but it's
the wrong way to use healing magic.
So I watched a couple episodes of the anime, and then I just went and read the manga up to date.
Did you enjoy it that much?
I was enjoying the anime enough that I was like, okay, let me have a look. And I did sit down and read all the manga in like one night. That being said, I think it is just a cool fantasy world.
It's a cool fantasy world, cool concept.
But it is a bit generic at times.
A bit generic, but it has enough like heart.
Yeah.
And
it's just solid. I think it's just solid.
So, yeah.
So I'd recommend this. I'd maybe put it like here, probably.
Because I've
in
watched
practically
it,
just a fantasy anime.
I would put it at the top just because I've
actually seen it. Okay, fair enough. So practically just a fantasy anime.
It's just sitting outside. But who? Well, I can't speak to. I don't know if season 2 would push it to a higher.
Look, I think because oftentimes with anime, you'll find that season 1 is their banger. Like season 1s are what hook people, and then they get either like given to a sub staff in a studio, or they get given to another studio.
Looking at you, Shield Hero.
Dude, it's coming up. But like with the wrong way to use healing magic, you have this kid. He's a bit like awkward. He's in high school, but then he I don't know, just happens to be walking home with the two most popular students at his school that are like
vice president and president
of the student council.
And we all know how much power the student council wields in Japan.
And they're just like super nice, normal kids. And I found that was actually what first endeared me to the show, because I was like, oh, they're not some weird like caricatures.
Yeah, it's usually the twist is like they're like super mean and stuff actually, and
But
like they would abuse their powers in the new world.
Then then those two actually get transported to the fantasy world,
And he gets caught
by
in,
accident.
Yeah. Maybe.
But so then they're obviously heroes, and it turns out he has a special like kind of magic.
He doesn't have a special kind of.
It's a rare magic.
Rare.
It's a rare kind of magic. And so then he gets shipped off to one of these like generals that also has this rare like healing magic, and it just follows his story. But you know, the other two that are still training to be heroes also like check on him, and like they become friends and actually do stuff together. Like in the manga, they have their own arcs together all the time. It's really, really like I enjoyed it. It's not particularly like interesting, I guess, but is like a solid watch for sure. Then next one. Okay, let's try and fly through a couple of these. The next one is Escaflowne. It is also one of the older shows on here on this list. It is one of the like classics, I guess, of the genre. But I think it is actually a female protagonist. Do you know what I found? A lot of the earlier ones actually had female protagonists being transported to other worlds. Which I don't know why, but it's called the Vision of Escaflowne. So ordinary 15-year-old high school girl, interest in tarot cards and fortune telling. One night, a boy named Van Fennel suddenly appears from the sky along with a vicious dragon. So then he slays the dragon, a light envelops them, and they both get taken back to the other world of Gaia, I think. And then it's a land where Earth hangs in the sky. And it's their adventures together and all about, you know, finding a way back and all that kind of thing. There's a whole bunch of intrigue in terms of politics and ancient powers and that kind of stuff.
Seems to be a lot going on.
From 1996, ran for 26 episodes. I don't know if there's a second season, but as far as I can tell, very solid show.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
I can't speak too much about it, but I'll put it at the top, well, just below The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic and Practically Just a Fantasy Anime. Then what is this? The next one is also, unfortunately, one I have not watched. But if I just poke around for a second, here we go. It's from the Fate series, which is why I haven't watched it, because that stuff is horrid.
Is this one of the Fates I've watched?
It is Fate Grand Order Absolute Demonic Front.
2 episodes.
Oh, for real? Okay, that's perfect. Can you tell me about it? Because this is one of the only Fates that's actually like an Isekai.
I can't remember. I didn't watch the first episode. I remember like the main person, like she fights with shields, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
She was like a shield hero.
Really? Did you crack yourself up that much? You've got this little laugh that you do when you actually find what you do funny. It's so funny, dude. But it's ranked quite highly, and I don't know if
most of the Fates are, because they're usually very good.
But also the fandom is so like rabid.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's from 2019, 21 episodes.
I can talk about the other Fates. Give me Fate 0.
But is that also? That's not an isekai though. So
not
on the list, my guy. Anyways, so
from what I know, it's very good. And I think at the time, I can't remember what was happening. I did watch the first episodes, but I didn't watch the rest. I think just life got in the way. But
okay.
I think it was very good.
So do you want to put it at the top of Practically Just a Fantasy Anime? Or do you want to put in...
No. I think we have to put it in Practically Just a Fantasy.
Okay. No, this one. The next one, Isekai or G-san. So...
my uncle is something.
What's
something?
it? What's it? My uncle... What
my uncle's a magician?
No.
My uncle's a sorcerer?
No, it's not that. It's ranked quite highly on MAL, actually.
You watched this.
I did watch it. It had a lot of delays in terms of production, and it's also Netflix.
Netflix original. Not
Netflix show.
Was it Netflix original? Netflix.
I think it's a.
Did the not outsourcing?
Oh, the animation.
Not the animation.
There we go.
What's the
Uncle
word
from
I'm
Another
looking for?
World. It is a. It started in 2022, but it finished like halfway through last year, just because there were delays in production. For some reason.
You really enjoyed this. You always.
I found it very funny. I think the animation style can take a bit of getting used to, but the premise is like, this guy is going, wakes up in like a hospital in like the normal world, and it turns out his consciousness has just been in a different universe, a different fantasy world. For 13 years or something.
I left my conscience.
And it's all about, so his nephew essentially takes him in and it's all about how he still has magical powers and connections to spirits and stuff in the human world and like in the world. And there are some like our world adventures, but a lot of it is shown as like a projection of his mind, and you can see the horrid things that happen to him in the other world. It's genuinely so funny. I think it's a very good, like, I don't know, episodic. There's very little like you don't necessarily
overarching story.
Yeah, like it kind of goes nowhere. Every episode you're just seeing more of his like life from the other world, and
it's like the general plot, him trying to get back to his.
No, the general plot, like if we just look at our world kind of thing, it's him and his nephew doing some like funny things with magic now and again, making a YouTube channel for him to like do magic on, and
as one does.
Yeah, just very like mundane stuff, barring the fact that they like transform into dinosaurs the one time, and use magic at like weird moments. But it's very like, it's a simple show that you could probably just watch down and sit down and like
so
watch.
You can like
enjoy.
go and just watch any episode basically.
Pretty much. And you can have good laughs. There are some like overarching jokes, but I'm happy to put it and proudly sit down and watch with parents.
Sure.
I think it is a very funny show, worth a watch. KonoSuba. This one's easy. We've talked about it a bunch.
So yeah, I will never stop glazing this. Yeah, beam me up, Truck-kun.
Beam me up, Truck-kun.
Kazuma is Trashuma. Especially in this latest season.
Dude, I still need to catch up.
Oh, it's so.
But yes, KonoSuba I think is always going to be just one of the funniest things.
I really look forward to Wednesdays when KonoSuba comes out.
Okay, and Beam Me Up Truck-kun, if I were to be transported to this world, I would immediately I would just want to watch them from afar. I never want to be involved in their antics because I think I'd probably hate my life.
You can do your own thing. You don't have to watch them.
But it is very, very funny. The next one, okay, you might have to curb me here, but Reincarnated as a slime, I want to put in the top tier.
I think for you and me, it definitely would go, but I think, it has a bit of that Japanese where there's a lot of talking. And not a lot of people enjoy that, but like we like that type of stuff.
I do enjoy it, and I think even though it's got like super heavy world building and so on going on, even just like the second season is in the top 5 of like the ranked anime on my anime list. So even above season 1 of Mushoku Tensei, which is saying something.
Are we currently on the 3rd season
of Reincarnated as a slime? No. Dude, well, technically there've been like part 2s and stuff. So I'd say season 5, and there's been like 3 movies as well.
I will say like it starts off a bit slow, but as you like watching the entire thing, you understand why it goes at that pace.
I'd say it gets slower as the show goes on. It gets so much slower. The current season, we're on episode 5. We've just gotten into a fight.
But it also makes sense because if you think it like, it's kind of like not Pokemon, but like any game, like your first. That has like a level up system. Like your first 5 to 7 levels, it's like quick, you're going.
Yeah.
But as you're getting more powerful, it takes a bit more time, which is the same as in slime, because as the monsters he befriends level up with him.
Yes.
And they kind of like plateau a bit.
It has become very much like it was always a bit of politicking. The
now
most recent season, this one and the one before, has just been incredibly political. Like. It's a lot of political intrigue, a lot of like moving parts. I have to rewatch some parts just to be like, okay, who's doing what now?
Especially now in this newest season because they opened up the world even more by introducing now another country kind of, and their own type of shadow organization that's running it.
It's a bit of power crawl, like you would find in your classic shonens, where it's just like, I've defeated the biggest enemy in the world, and now there's a bigger enemy right behind. Some of them are set up, but a lot of them just kind of show up out of nowhere.
Yeah. But I will say, like, there's leading up to the shadow organizations in season 3, there was enough hints from the beginning to be like, there is something bigger. But I don't know how they go bigger from the shadow organization.
Yeah. I'm pretty much up to date on the manga. I can tell you it does go bigger. There's actually... If you... Oh, no. Okay, actually, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it does go bigger.
Sometimes, I can promise you. Authors just be like, I'm fine with ending it here. But, like, on the other end, money.
Yes, very much money. Okay, so that one we put in Bring Me Up Truck-kun. Are you happy with that?
Quick tangent.
Yeah.
You're an artist, right?
I am an artist.
Would you keep making art that didn't bring you joy if it made you a lot of money?
It's a tough one to say, just because I'd get
because there's stuff like redo for healer,
yeah.
which obviously he hates it. I mean, the entire world hates it, but he did it to fund the one that he actually liked, which is that assassin that gets reborn, which I think is in the list.
Yeah.
As the same with the Spy Family author, he does not like Spy Family, but he did it to be able to fund his actual passion project.
Which is?
Can't remember what it is. It's probably shit. I'm sorry, my guy. You got to hit with Spy Family.
I think. Okay, here's the problem, right? I personally have a big issue with the weird thing of like, regardless of like your medium, right? It might be games, it might be TV shows, it might be movies, of just beating the same like horse over and over and over and over. I think there are so many, like, I hate shows that go on for 10 seasons. I find it so...
Big Bang Theory, 2.5 Men.
Friends, How I Met Your Mother, like... It shows they don't have a clear
Supernatural,
ending.
Come at me, Supernatural fans. Yeah.
They don't have a clear ending. So it also, as a result, it means they cannot craft storylines in a really nice way. Because they always have to keep going.
You always have an arc for a character, and then somehow they end up resetting that character the next season.
So I think I would on a personal level hate that I was partaking in that. It's the same kind of vibe as live service games. Like, I would hate to work on a live service game because I'd have to...
But would you do it if the money was really good?
So I'm saying this as someone who is not earning crazy big bucks, right?
Yeah.
So I can't be a definitive yes or no. I'd like to think I'd stay like true to my morals and be like, yeah, fuck that. So I'm going to put 90%. I would want to move on to new projects.
Okay.
And 10% of me has that little room for like doubt. So in case in 10 years time, I can be like, actually, you know what? I am that piece of shit. It just, I can't imagine. I don't know. It just seems exhausting. It seems so like exhausting to be in the same. And yes, if you have the same story, like, what's it? Oda has talked about One Piece, and One Piece is, that's a lot of stuff. It's a long time.
1998, 97 it started.
It's been going for a long, long time. I think
we're wrapping up.
Slowly but surely.
We're in the end game.
But Oda has enough moving pieces where it has felt like there is something like going on, I guess. But either way, so back to Reincarnated as a Slime, beam me up Truckin for sure. The next one, another one we haven't watched. It is called...
It looks like Power Ranger.
Magic Knight Rayearth. It is also from like...
95?
It's from 95, 29 episodes. It is an isekai with female protagonists. Once again, I don't know what it is, but at some point, isekai was like female protagonists, oftentimes becoming heroes and like saving other planets. I don't know at what point or why it switched, but maybe isekai used to be like geared towards women and not just like boys with power fantasies.
Another one we've taken from them. Hey!
High five! Men. So it is ranked quite highly, but once again, we'll put it in like in the other grouping of ones we've never watched.
What was the blurb for it?
The blurb? So little time has passed since the Magic Knight's final confrontation with Princess. So
this it says 2 at the top.
Oh yeah. Sorry, the first season is ranked lower than the second season, but I also don't want to have to go find it right now.
So is it just like a Power Rangers isekai?
So I think 3 girls get transported, and it's almost like a mech thing where they have superpowers, and there's a bit of like political intrigue going on. I don't know. I can't remember too much about it, but all the ones that I haven't seen, I did read the blurb of. That's a lot of information. Okay. Mushoku Tensei is the next one.
I think we definitely went on about this in a previous episode.
Easy to say, I'm watching Corn.
It's so much easier.
Top of the group.
Yeah. I wish the world could get to experience the world building. The world ain't ready to watch this.
The world ain't ready to watch this for sure.
Like everything that people say that's bad about anime is in this.
Yeah. It is.
Those like bad tropes. That's
fan service.
Yeah.
Just
those icky things.
It's a lot of things will give you the ick for sure. It all has to do with the character being a piece of shit and learning. Like, this is when we talked earlier about like there being isekais where there's no point to it being an isekai. There's a very clear purpose to this being an isekai. It is giving someone a second chance at life, even though they are, you know.
Yeah, it's so important that they keep that he keeps referencing back to his old life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what guides a lot of his decisions. He'll think back to his lowest point in a previous life and how now he has a chance to deviate from that and go down a different path.
So he's like trying new things as a result. But
there's actually like a very nice story element with it with his sister. And this one he thinks back to when his brother would try to come and comfort him and try to get him. And that was some really great storytelling and character growth.
For sure. I think, but still easy to say I'm watching porn. It's just, there's too many parts that would put people off from watching it to like easily recommend it.
Yeah.
But okay, next one, Eminence and Shadow.
I am Otome.
Dude, it has.
It's beam me up.
It's beam me up 100%. We've talked about it for sure.
It's so good.
We even referenced it in the like past episode because we were talking about Assassin's Creed and somehow both our brains were just like, we work in the shadows to serve the light.
But this one, again, this is actually one of those ones where previous life does play a very big role in his current.
Here's the problem. If you obviously spoilers, right, with all of these things, but this is big spoilers.
I think we did
if you
about
have
it
watched the end of the most recent season, he has been isekai'd back to his potentially his original world, or another world. But and there's this whole thing with like different universes having moments where they're like close to each other and people being able to cross over. So it might be like it might actually just be sci-fi and not isekai.
Yes, yeah. It starts. So like what? It starts off as like your bog standard isekai.
Yeah.
Man wants to be hero. Man gets killed. Man gets reincarnated with an overpowered ability and starts to do overpowered things. But it hits on every single trope of an isekai.
It's
parodies or satire. I think satire is a better word.
Yeah.
It like flips it on his head in such like a well thought out way that you can see the author took the time to understand isekai and what goes into it.
Problem is, right, the biggest criticism I have seen is that it is the same joke over and over. And if you like that joke, and if we've watched so much like isekai, the joke lands every time because they play on different tropes. But if you're not someone that always enjoys your isekai, it can just be the same joke over and over without seeing the distinctions.
How do you think somebody who's never watched an isekai, having this be their first one, would...
It wouldn't land. I think a lot of the stuff just would not land. I think parts are funny regardless. And if you just stick with it, you will start to like, you know...
enjoy the characters,
you will just
the
start
world.
to see it, you will get used to it and you'll actually start to pick up on the satire as well. But it very clearly is for people that watch isekai and enjoy their trash.
Yeah.
But
highly recommend.
Easily beam me up, Truck-kun. Very nice. Okay. The next one. So this is one of my favorites of all time.
This is also something I really enjoy.
I
don't know if we might fight about where we place it.
Campfire cooking in another world with my absurd skill. Basic premise. This guy, he's a salaryman in Japan. He gets isekai'd.
Is salaryman like the only job for males?
I think so. Everyone, man, woman, children, every person can enjoy it. But basically, he gets isekai'd and he shows up in this fantasy world, and there are 3 like teenagers there that very clearly are meant to be the heroes. And he's just got like a grocery bag with him. He's like, "Hey guys, I think I'm in the wrong place."
Yeah.
And then he gets given a bag of coins and is told like to get out of here, because the skill that he gets when he comes to the other world is
he can use Amazon,
which is just like he can use an online grocery store, essentially.
Anything he wants online on like a version of Amazon gets delivered straight to him. But it's like, again, kind of OP, but like one of the actual OP things about it is he has a storage space which is infinite.
Yeah. And he can use appraisal.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy skill to have. But if you think of like medieval times and the kind of salt and pepper they had, there's literally an episode where he needs to make some money. So what he does is he just buys some salt using some like currency. And the currency conversion from coins in this fantasy world to like the Japanese yen is kind of whack. So he buys some salt for relatively cheap online, gets really, really high quality salt and pepper from like our world. and then takes it to the people into this fantasy world, and they're like, "This is the most pure pepper we've ever had. We'll give you so much gold for it." And he's like,
and then like he has
OP.
so much, and like, oh, we don't have enough gold to pay for all this.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh shit, I might have fucked the economy.
Yeah. Also, when he cooks things using ingredients from the other world, there's buffs.
Huge buffs.
And he gets familiars, one of which is because dude, it's so cozy because he always like makes a camp and then cooks the most delicious looking food for his familiars and himself.
It's one of those shows where you have to be eating when you're watching it.
Yeah, I always went and like got food. Every time I rewatch it, I immediately go and make myself food as well. But so for me,
parents, I wouldn't put it up in a beam me up, but I would put it at the top of watch with parents.
Yeah, I can agree. Look, as much as I would love to be beamed up, to be part of it, I think it's very slow burn. Like, cool stuff happens. There's action sequences. A lot of that, like,
but it's also not like overarching story.
Yeah.
It's more self-contained and everything.
It's almost slice of lifey
yeah.
in its simplicity. Okay, so the next one I actually went and watched a couple of episodes of. So The Saints. What is something omnipotent? I went and watched some of the episodes of this show. But it's The Saints' powers omnipotent. Female protagonist gets isekai'd, and she gets isekai'd along with another woman.
I'm gonna go pee. I'm gonna let you talk about this.
Okay. She gets isekai'd alongside with another woman, and the other woman like gets the crown prince of this kingdom walks in and says, "Oh, you are the saint," to this other like person. So then our protagonist gets essentially like relegated to the sidelines and like, "Oh, we're sorry about the way he treated you." And from that point on, you just slowly but surely find out, oh, hectic, she's actually OP, and she can make like potions that are super powerful, and in general is like pretty powerful and can cast really, really powerful healing spells and so on. I don't know how it's leaning heavily on the romance side of it, I think. Like, all the dudes in the show are incredibly attractive. Every man she interacts with is gorgy-porgy, for sure. But I am enjoying it. I'm like halfway through the first season. And I think it's good. I do think it's actually good. But where I'd put it on this list is anyone's guess. Hushav, were you able to hear me talking about it from the bathroom? I'd say this is practically just a fantasy anime. She does do some callbacks to her previous life.
Sure, I concur.
But it's not. It's nothing like super special at this point, I'd say. I will put it at the top because maybe it develops into a show. Like, maybe the romance just becomes really, really solid. But so far, it's a bit bog standard in terms of the fantasy. But yeah, now Overlord. There are so many seasons of the show. I watched the first 3. And
I watched the first 2. I fell off of the 2. Rarely like
it falls off so hard. Even one of our friends who loves Overlord, like,
who's also my DM. Please don't kill me.
But he himself has said that kind of falls off.
Yeah. Didn't help. Also, I think, was it season 2 that had that really bad CGI, or was it season 3?
I don't know. I can't even remember. The point being, I like the distinct impression was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's a bit outside my usual realm of isekai, but I'm enjoying it. And then I have this lingering thing of disappointment when it comes to the show.
Yeah, basically another villain story.
But it's a game world.
Yeah. Well, so the first episode's him playing a game.
Wait, I need to go pee. Can you?
Yeah. So the first episode is the main protagonist playing a game, and the game is shutting down. So him and a few of his other clanmates are just like having one last hurrah, having drinks, reminiscing about the game, and he forgets to log out of the game and he falls asleep. I'm assuming that it was a VR type situation. And anyways, when he wakes up, he realizes he can't exit the game because he has now been transported to this fantasy world with his current avatars in his current avatar's body. So he has all the powers of his avatar, and he was like one of the most powerful characters in the game. And he has like a bunch of lieutenants who are also all super powerful in their own right. And it's just basically them trying to conquer this new world that they live in. Very interesting premise. Really fun first season. But season 2, for me, like I get a lot of backlash from this because some people say season 2 was actually quite decent. But I think season 2 was very slow and kind of just killed my interest in the show. It was like very difficult to watch season 2. Apparently it got a bit better in season 3, and then season 4 completely fell off.
Yeah, I feel like it just completely lost the plot.
Yeah, I would put it I would put it towards the back end of practically just a fantasy anime.
Yeah, because it's
very strong start, but
because
its own worst enemy.
It almost becomes no point to the isekai. Right?
Yeah.
And he just becomes like a super powerful person in a fantasy.
Well, he
world.
was a super powerful person from the beginning.
Yeah, but he doesn't really like pull in any knowledge.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't serve him in any way to have like.
He literally just treats it like a game, even though he's in another world.
The only thing that we really get as like a hint is when he talks about the fact that he's becoming more, because his character's like a lich or something. He's an undead that's meant to be unfeeling and uncaring, and the only callbacks we really get is him saying, "Oh, I wouldn't have behaved like this in my previous life. Maybe being like this undead person is changing me." But that's about it. So, okay, next one, Gate. Okay. Do you remember Gate?
Sounds familiar.
The premise is a one day in like Akihabara or something, just this really big gate, like almost like think about like a Greek gate with pillars and like the roof and stuff, shows up in Akihabara or Shinjuku or something, and suddenly all these like fantasy things like dragon riders and orcs and all these kinds of like fantasy people and creatures come out and start slaughtering all the people.
Yeah.
But then obviously, they treat. I like how they treat it as genuinely like, oh, we have guns. So they eventually like slaughter and contain the outbreak. But one of the people that partakes is like an otaku who was in the area buying stuff from his favorite like idol or like anime character. And then because he did such a good job protecting the people, we also find out like he was essentially part of like, what are they called? Not the Green Caps or whatever, but the equivalent of like the Spec Ops for Japan. Okay. Later on we find that out. But he then is part of like an advanced intelligence force that goes into the other world to gather information and befriend and find resources, all that kind of stuff. It is a bit weird when it comes to the characters he interacts with, like a lolly, an elf teenager.
What is this, like around the 2012, 2013s?
I think
it sounds very much around that time.
2015, maybe around there. I'm gonna have to blur that every single time. I don't know if it's on the first or the second page.
I think you're going quick enough over it. You just got to stop bringing attention to it every time you go past it. Yes,
It's 2015, yeah.
2015, yeah.
There is a second season as well. So it's a bit weird when it comes to the actual like, especially the female characters in the show.
There's
nothing bad. But I did enjoy it, and it becomes a lot more political when they try to like, the Japanese people try to like almost integrate and befriend people of this other realm.
Japanese people trying to integrate. Asking for trouble there.
So for me, I'd want to put it as practically maybe middle of practically just a fantasy anime.
Okay.
We have enough things there. It's good. I definitely recommend it if you enjoy isekai, but it's also like it's nothing too crazy. The next one, okay, also one I love, and it's currently airing as well. It's Tsukimichi, Moonlit Fantasy. Have you ever watched this?
No, but it was right there next to the other one, next to Gate.
Okay, basic premise: you have this boy. He gets isekai'd, but the goddess of the world that summons him is like, "Oh, you ugly." So she gives him, the only ability she gives him is, or maybe I think another god who was actually like trying to cover for her or something, gives him the ability to speak all languages. the only language he cannot speak is Common, which, all the human races. Also, the humans of this world are spelled with a Y before the U, so it's human. But basically,
Human.
It's a world wherein humans reign supreme, and they like treat demi-humans and other races as like garbage. Standard fantasy. But it's all about how this guy like befriends. What's his name? Can you just see there? Makoto Misumi. All about how he like actually is super powerful and befriends people, and it becomes a very political kind of anime as well. The hook is that turns out his parents were actually isekai'd from this world to the normal world, and the reason he got chosen to go back is because that was the deal they'd made.
With who? With the gods?
I can't remember the exact details, but basically, yeah. So they had to.
This came out in 2021. Hey, you said what's coming out now?
There's another season out right now.
Oh.
That's airing. I think season 2, and it is really good. I'm enjoying it thoroughly.
Studio C2C.
I don't know if I could do much more than like a generic fantasy, because
slap dab in the middle.
Actually, I think people will enjoy this quite a lot.
Okay.
It is a good show. It can be a bit whack at times, but for the most part, it's a good like civilization builder as well. Because one of the first people he befriends and forms like a contract with is one of the higher or like greater dragons.
Yeah.
But their powers combined allow for like, it's called the demi-plane, where essentially it's a like small universe within that universe to be created.
Pocket
and it's
universe.
influenced by Makoto's power. So a lot of the fruits that grow there are like Japanese or like from our world. And every time he like comes across a race of people that are like mistreated, he brings them in there and they just form part of that civilization. And it's like a bit of a city builder as well. So it's really, really cool. I highly recommend. The next one is called Kiba, or Kiba. I don't know.
Kiba?
I cannot.
Yu-Gi-Oh?
That's the only reason I included this here, because I was like, oh, I really was
the blue eyes white dragon.
That's it. We really don't have to talk about it much. Honestly, we can just put it right like somewhere over here in practically just a fantasy anime. I just wanted to include it for the sake of the Yu-Gi-Oh reference. Then here's the one you talked about. Assassin, like the world's best assassin, reincarnated
From
in
the great mind that brought us a redo of a healer. This was his actual like passion project that he had to do, redo of a healer.
Did you watch any of this?
Yeah.
It's a solid like 6.5 for me.
So mid.
It's the most generic of.
Yeah.
And that's why.
So one of the world's best assassin gets reincarnated into this new world, and it's an assassin again because his family that he gets reincarnated are actually doctor assassins.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's overpowered.
It's pretty.
There's one moment, and there's another anime we're gonna get to in a second, but there's one moment in like episode 2 or 3 where he infuses a gem with so much power that it overflows and explodes, and it is one of the most beautiful moments of animation in the show, and it's never seen again.
Yeah. So I'd rather watch redo healer repeat.
Same author.
Yeah.
The next one is actually called Restaurant in Another World, or Restaurant for Another World. I haven't watched it.
Apparently it's very wholesome.
I do want to, because I've heard it's wholesome.
Yeah.
But I cannot. Are we just gonna chuck it in practically?
I think I'd do parents, because I know enough, at least from the community, that.
Okay. So we can put it over here and proudly sit down and watch with parents. We can't weigh in too much. ReZero. The next one is ReZero.
I feel like we might fight on this.
I've watched ReZero.
I've also struggled through ReZero.
Okay, so different opinions. I did watch season 2.
I did watch it. I'm up to date.
Wait, you're up to date. Damn, I am
it's
not.
It's a hate watch for me, because I'm waiting for it to get good. I'm waiting for it to click. I'm like, why do the masses love this show so much? I fucking hate the main character so much. Subaru. I need to stop doing that.
Okay.
Subaru. I think he's probably one of the worst main characters.
He's the biggest simp that you've ever seen.
Yeah. Grief.
Okay, his eyes no death though. His eyes no death.
Just what am I like? Just being put through pain, it does not screaming is not character growth. Basically.
Here's the
That's what
thing:
I'm trying to
if
say.
you're watching this episode of our show or listening to this episode of our show and you don't know what ReZero is,
Actually, yeah, explain what ReZero is.
It's your bog standard guy gets reincarnated in another world, and his special ability is that whenever he dies, he gets reset to a certain point.
He can't decide when this point is.
Yeah, it's just like it's almost like he hits a certain story marker, and then that's the new save point. He will oftentimes die multiple times before being able to get to the next save point in his story. So, and there's this.
The world is incredible.
It's a very cool world with a lot of cool powers, a lot of interesting people.
Really interesting characters.
I like
Subaru.
Okay, here's the thing. I like the fact that he almost has nothing special about him except like just pure
His amazing
grit.
power to simp.
Honestly, that's why he hasn't given up. Like he just sims so hard for like Amelia is her name or something.
The power of the PUSSY. I think that's a Nate Dogg lyric.
The poontang. That's what he's looking for. I also don't get it. I don't know why people love the show that much. I did enjoy it.
I think
but I also don't
I think Rem really carried it.
Yeah.
That first season.
I do not understand. I don't think there's anything. He doesn't bring anything to the table.
No.
In terms
He's
of
not an interesting character.
In terms of like it being an isekai.
Yeah.
And the only reason he sims so hard for this one woman is because in one of the lives that he lived, or like one of the times before he died, she helped him out like a bit.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I will say there's one episode, I don't know if you see, where he wakes up and he thinks he's back home, and you get to find out about his family life. And that's probably the most interested I've ever been about him, just seeing how he came to be like the way he is.
I do not remember this episode.
You meet his dad and you see how his dad is. I think does his dad die also when he was reliving these memories? Can't remember.
Either way, so where do you want to put it? Where do you want to chuck this?
It's definitely going watch with the parents. I can't in good faith put it in practically just a fantasy anime because it is more than that. But it's also not good enough for me to be put it into Beam Me Up Truck-kun.
It is, however, interesting for him to like live through a section, die, then use that information in his next run and see him go through all these different like emotions and stuff. It is a cut above the rest. I will say that much.
Yes.
It isn't for me. It's not a phenomenal show.
If you can just ignore him and focus on every other character, which is who are incredible, they have great motives, arcs. You really care for them. It's a shame we have to spend so much time with him, but it is what it is.
Okay. Well, we've put it in Proudly Sit Down and Watch with Parents.
Yeah.
The next show, I didn't realize that I'd actually watched it before until I read the synopsis. It is a bit of a nothing show for me. Oh, by the way, the Familiar of Zero original show was 2006. But let me see quickly. Where on earth is this next one? I can't remember the name, but basically you have these 3 super genius kids that get isekai'd, and it's just like, oh, our lives are so boring because we're too smart. And then they get put in a world where they have to play games against the gods, basically. To like.
Are you describing No Game, No Life?
Kind of. But where is it now? No, not Cautious Hero, which is honestly one I want to talk about so badly. I found it so funny.
Apparently, it's very emotional towards the end of that first season. Bjorn, would you stop?
There it is. Problem children are coming from another world. I think it also got multiple seasons. Very much a nothing show. I got to be honest. I thought it was very like average.
A couple episodes, maybe 4 or 5 episodes from it.
If we compare this to it's a good comparison to No Game No Life, because No Game No Life was like the smarts of the games were better. For the like in this show, they just made everyone else dumb.
Yeah, it was a very interesting concept. I think I like the design of the characters in the world. That's about it. Yeah,
there's not much to say about it.
The actual characters themselves are not interesting.
Rather watch No Game No Life.
Yeah.
In which. Oh, okay. Actually, hold on. So for this one, I have no desire to ever watch it again. Let's just do No Game No Life while we're here.
Incredible show.
I think that the
probably started the big boon of the 2010s for anime.
Also, the strategy, the level of strategy, and the way they explain things in the show is so smart. It's a show wherein they try to write smart characters doing smart things, and it actually checks out.
To this day, I still use the rock paper scissors strategy whenever I have to play against somebody.
The problem being, essentially, syscon, lolly, all the tags we do not like to see, if you catch my drift.
Easier to say I'm watching Korn.
Easier to say I'm watching Korn.
The thing is,
it's a really good show.
Yeah, if you catch it on the right episode, it is beam me up Truck-kun. But there's too many of the other shit.
There's also a woman in the show that they use, she's us as the audience. So the main characters oftentimes explain stuff to her, but she's also just put in a skimpy outfit. The problem is, dude, so the outlines for the characters are done in blue and red and stuff, which makes it look so fantasy-esque, and it's so cool. I think the show is so pretty and so lovely.
They even have a little JoJo reference in there.
Mm-hmm. It's such a good show, but man, you have to...
Do you know what my favorite game was? Was probably the word association game.
I can't even... Dude, I need to rewatch it.
Remember they playing against the Harpy in the library?
Yeah,
and every time
it's the final arc of the show.
No. The final arc of the show is when they're playing with the laser things against the cat people.
Oh, and
then they flip the coin at the end, hit the tails, and it lands straight in the middle of the crap. That was the final.
Yes, because they're trying to find resources, hey? Okay, so we've put that in easier to say I'm watching Korn.
Sad.
This is such an interesting category because, honestly, pretty good shows. Like these first two, Mushoku Tensei and No Game No Life. This Otome game one is meh. But these first two are really, really good shows.
This is those elements where you can't, in good conscience, recommend it to someone without them thinking you're a fucking weirdo.
Okay. Ascendance of a Bookworm has many a season and many a people really love. It has a very high rating.
Watched it.
I tried. I found the world, the strategy and the way. So it's essentially this person gets reincarnated in another world where she's born to a family that a poor family in essentially medieval times. But she uses her smarts from her previous world to make paper because all she wants to be is a librarian. I think she was very sickly in the previous life, and that's why she died. And there's a lot of callbacks, and she uses a lot of her knowledge from her previous life in this to set up a marketing stores. It's very marketing and commerce intrigue heavy, and I can see why people like it. I struggled. I think I might want to give it another chance, but I did struggle with the pacing, and the show doesn't necessarily look very good either. It is a very, very simple animation.
Is it standalone stories kind of?
No, it's one big overarching story. I think you could probably put this up here just because it is highly rated.
Yeah.
So probably sit down and watch with parents. It is in the A-ish tier. But it's not for everyone. It is a very slow-paced show for sure. Okay, next one is The Cautious Hero is Overly Cautious.
This is actually one that I've tried to watch a couple of times, but literally it's been I've started it and something in life has happened, and I'd had to drop it. But I've actually enjoyed it for the first 3 or 4 episodes that I got through, and I know the community loves it, especially the ending. I
mean, in terms of shows that beat the same joke over and over and over again, it does it pretty much to a T.
Yeah.
Just basically, guy gets reincarnated. He doesn't really have memories of his previous life, I don't think. But
great duo between him and the goddess. They play off each other very well. It's a fun dynamic that I think a lot of people will enjoy seeing.
But in the towards the end of the show, we do find out why he is how he is. But pretty much he'll just go do sit-ups and push-ups and stuff before any mission, so that he's the max level he can possibly be.
It had 2 seasons, right? And it ended in the second season.
I don't know, but it's not I wouldn't necessarily say it's something super special. I'd put it maybe towards the top of practically just a fantasy.
Yeah, I'll put it at the top.
Okay, fair enough. I
would go second. I'm not gonna fight you on it.
I don't want to put it above Tsukimichi because I have watched both of these in full.
Fine.
This is a weird. The next one is from a weird series of shows about pharmaceuticals.
Hey, up your alley.
So this is just called Parallel World Pharmacy. There's like maybe 5 or 6 shows of this genre that came out in the last like 5 years.
Are you including like the one about like the spa, the ghost spa thing?
No. But they genuinely were just like so many shows. It's like, I'm
But what do you
starting
mean
an
of that
herb
thing?
shop. I'm starting a pharmacy. I'm like a doctor.
Okay.
It's a lot of them were in this genre, and it's I just don't care about it. I genuinely don't care about it. This one was very generic, very average.
Yeah, let's just put it on the bottom.
I don't care for it at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it ever again. So like I'm putting it in. I'd rather watch Redo of a Healer on repeat.
I mean, after the second episode of Healer, it gets good.
So the next 2 are both shows I have not watched. But this over here is very highly ranked. I just need to fuck nuggets. I just need to find the name of it. So actually one of them, so Kyo Karamao, what was this? Revolves around Yuri Shibuya, your average Japanese teenager. One day, he was being harassed he sees someone being harassed by bullies and gets involved, allows the person to escape. Gets his head shoved into the toilet, but instead of water, he gets swirled into a portal. Wow. That resembles
Very
medieval
original.
Europe. And in this world, he gets told that he's the new demon king. So it's all about the other demons accepting him and him having to prove that he is actually the new demon king. It has 3 seasons. The first one was from 2004,
episodes,
which is 78 episodes. Quite long.
I mean, for that time when you had something moderately well loved, like Kacheko, Hitman Reborn was like 50 episodes in its first season.
So here's the thing, right? I feel like we haven't watched it. The premise at the time was probably new. Nowadays, it's very generic.
Yeah, we have so many Demon Lord things.
And actually, before I don't want to do this sequentially, so I'm going to put this one in the middle of practically just a fantasy anime. I'm sure maybe there's someone out here that'll fight us, but
Sure.
Immediately I want to talk about Iruma-kun. Marumashita Iruma-kun, which is Welcome to Demon Academy Iruma-kun, is one of the best, like, isekai things, genuinely. I think this is a phenomenal show.
Same. I didn't realize how much I was going to love it. A friend of mine just put me onto it when we were hanging out at his house. It's like, hey, I watched this cool anime. Do you want to watch it? Like, sure. Initially, I went to his house to watch My Hero.
So, in terms of premises, it's kind of the same thing where this kid, his parents sell his soul to the devil, and then the devil, like...
Not to a devil, a higher demon.
A higher demon. And turns out this demon just wanted a grandson.
Yeah, he's a doting grandfather.
A doting grandfather. So he adopts Iruma, and then Iruma has to go to high school for demons, but no one's allowed to find out that he's actually a human.
Yeah.
Because they eat humans, all that kind of stuff. So premise-wise, it's also like fish out of water. But in this world, he's aiming to become, or he's just like, playing with his friends.
He's enjoying being a child for the first time in his life because his parents treated him like a slave.
Yeah. But it's really fun. It's really wholesome and enjoyable.
The Demon Society is really great, learning about everything that goes on from like the underworld to their politics to the what do they call the big demon that like went missing?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But basically, it's a very lovable show. And it has
so
multiple
wholesome
seasons, but there's also like really hype and cool moments. I don't know
really emotional moments also.
For sure, definitely. There's also a bit of romance. But the other show, the Kyoko Mara, whatever, if it were like that, I think I'd rank it higher. Maybe like Iruma-kun is based on that show, but I just can't because we haven't seen it, unfortunately. Okay, moving on. Oh wait, this other one that I said was originally looking for. Let me see if I can find it. Hushav, shout if you see the cover.
I'm just rewatching Iruma in my head. I can't wait for the new season.
So, Juni Kokuki. It is the highest ranked old isekai. It's from 2002. There's 45 episodes. And it's about this girl. One day she's just in school. And she struggles to fit in. She's like a people pleaser and she's always trying to help out. But she struggles to fit in because she has this like super red hair. Then one day... this like blonde dude shows up at the school, and like essentially takes her to the other world, saying I think she was from there or like she was special, whatever it might be.
Because any blonde person
no,
is American in anime
or German.
or German.
but when they get transported to the other world, this girl and two of her friends get like caught with her in the, I guess, transporting spell. And then they get separated from the guy that was like trying to like take them over. And
Honestly, it doesn't sound interesting.
It doesn't, but based on how highly it is ranked, or like rated, and from when it was, I'd say it's, if I would want to put this at the top of this middle group over here, just because it is the one I most want to watch.
Really?
It is the one that is like, that I have not seen, that has enough, like, just the meta around it, being from so long ago, having a female protagonist, being so highly rated, and having 45 episodes, there's enough green flags for me to be like, this potentially could be a phenomenal show. But haven't seen it, so cannot put it in like the S or the A tier, unfortunately. Okay.
Farming.
So, what's it? Nonburi Noka.
Yeah, we watched it last year.
Farming in another world.
It starts off really fun, and then it just does the same thing again and again.
It's very generic.
Yeah.
The only thing, there's actually two things I would want to say about the show.
Sure.
First of all, and we had the same reaction, where we watched episodes 1 and 2, we're like, okay, this is moving along, and then we started falling off until it came to like episode 4 or 5, where there was this immaculate moment where there was a dragon attacking this guy's little settlement that he'd built in like this forest, and he uses his tool, which was gifted to him by the gods when he like teleported over, because they made a mistake.
It's a magical gardening tool that can turn to any gardening tool that he needs.
And when he gardens with it, it like makes plants grow faster and work easier. And he was also blessed with vitality, whatever. But there's this moment.
Does it turn into a weapon, right?
So here's the thing: it turns into a spear, which we later get like a little aside where the gods are like, "How did you end up with a spear? What'd you do? And he's like, "It's just a replica of the holy spear of whatever." But so he throws the spear, and it's this incredibly hype music starts playing, and he throws the spear, and like the way the fight scene goes,
and the animation,
it's like maybe 45 seconds to a minute and a half of incredibly beautiful animation, hype music, just this really, really cool moment. And then we never see anything again.
They brought in like another, like it accidentally got put onto another studio's desk, like, and they animated that part and then just sent it back.
It was so good. The rest is super generic.
But that got us to stay.
It got us to stay. I don't know how, but I did then watch the whole season. The other thing I would want to say is, so in the show, most of the people in the settlement that like come, like, he befriends people from, it's overwhelmingly female.
Yeah, he lives in the middle of like a demon forest.
Pretty much. And there's like incredibly high-ranking things. And a lot of the women that show up, or like a lot of the people that end up wandering there are like outcasts and whatever, but they, for some reason, are all magically like beautiful women. In the anime, we don't see this as much. In the manga, it is like, he's 100% boinking each and every single one of them, because one of his blessings from the gods was like increased vitality.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much known that it's just a harem for him, and he's like, there's nods towards it in the anime,
but they played more towards like his wife.
Yeah,
show.
It's a lot more marginally more wholesome in the anime. I did enjoy it, but it is very generic. Practically just a fantasy anime. There's very little callback, and it's probably towards the lower end. Yeah, just because it's kind of trashy.
His former life he was constantly sick. He's like the guy from the SpongeBob meme, like, when I wake up, like my bones are made from glass. When I wake up, I break my bones, and that was him. And so the gods feel sorry for him. They're like, yeah, here you go.
Yeah, so it's nothing too crazy for sure. Okay, let's try and blow through this last little section here. We are going on quite a while already.
Yeah, it's like somebody shouldn't have put 50 anime.
Okay, is there anything on this list that you think you can knock out quite quickly? Do you see
we
anything?
Not redo. Shield Hero.
Okay, Shield Hero season 1 is really good. The show then takes a massive dive afterwards.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to.
Its big selling point gets resolved in the first season, and I just really didn't know where to go from there.
Yeah, I honestly, just because of how disappointing it was after that point, I'd put it in rather watch.
I'm not gonna fight you on that.
It's one of the most disappointing shows just because of how like.
Yeah, it had the community in a stranglehold that first season.
For sure, like very much so. There's also Fushigi Yugi, a show I have not watched, which I think we can both just easily chuck in the middle of this next to Seto Kaiba.
Sure.
Practically just a fantasy anime.
Drifters, a kind of forgotten gem at this point.
I do remember enjoying it because it's like dark. It's quite
It's made by the same author who did Hellsing.
Yeah, so it's a dark isekai. We talked about it on the previous episode. Essentially just famous martial people from wars across human history get transported to this other world to help defend
Hitler.
it. And
and possibly Jesus. Don't forget Jesus is possibly the bad guy.
But because it like sets itself apart by being darker
Yeah.
and a bit more like interesting and grounded, I guess. It's less fantasy and more like strategic real life stuff.
Yes, because I remember there's a point where Oda Nobunaga is like teaching them about how to do guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
And he has them shit in a pit
To make sulfur and bombs and all
not
that
just
kind
that,
of
then
stuff.
puts their weapons into there.
To poison people, yeah.
It's
very
great
cool.
watching.
It's well researched, very well done. Anything else? Reincarnated as a sword, interesting premise, really flopped at some point. And
I
like
didn't even bother.
weirdly,
The sword looked really cool though. I'll give it that.
It's really just another fantasy anime. I wish the Reincarnated as a vending machine could have been in here, but alas, it did not make the cut. Then what's it? Handyman in Another World.
Never watched it.
It was very sweet and very wholesome. It is kind of generic, but it was different enough. It set itself apart. I'd put it like towards the top of practically just a fantasy anime. He just like, he could disarm traps and stuff. He was very cool.
Looking at this, I'd want to promote wrong way of doing magic to sit down and with the parents.
Okay, no, that's fair. I'll put it at the bottom though.
Okay.
Then what else is on here? The Faraway Paladin was really disappointing.
It's such an interesting concept, but it's literally
just a fantasy anime.
Yeah, our mid tier. It is the mid of mid.
It is, yeah. Like I think we see 5 seconds of someone just in like a dark void at the beginning, and that's the only callback to like a previous life, pretty much. I actually wouldn't want to put it up here because I wouldn't want to put it in the mid of the mid because
bottom of it.
I wouldn't want to watch it again. Like I was just so disappointed because it seemed like it could be really cool. Like he was being trained by these 3 legendary like heroes who'd been like fallen like
turn into monsters
and stuff. And it could have been really cool.
It's so disappointing. Yeah. I somehow made it through the first season, and the second season came out this past season, and I was like, not a fucking chance.
Okay, there's an easy one I can talk about. Tenchi Muyo War and Gemini. Tenchi Muyo is a massive like IP, by the way. There are so many different shows. This one specifically is about a kid. Tenchi, he gets transported to another world where you have like women fighting in mechs, but he for some reason is a man that can fight in a mech. It's weird. I don't know. I've rewatched it like 4 times. I like it so much.
Bro, watch new things.
I would say easy to say I'm watching Korn just because it's a bit tough to explain at certain points, especially when like a weird number of women are like chasing after him because his like bloodline is good, I guess. Anything else? There's one over here like I became a tamer and started collecting trash. Was just meh. I'd put it down here. I don't really want to talk about it.
There's actually one that I thought would be here that's not here.
What do you think's missing?
I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's like his grandfather. He gets reincarnated, and this old man raises him, and he goes to a school, and he's like grossly overpowered. I think it starts with a K.
It's what's it? The grandchild of the wise man or something. It isn't isekai. And I did watch the whole show. I think it was trash. It was trash.
It's one of the best trash show you will watch.
But it's not. It wasn't rated very highly because I think it wasn't a season.
Personally, I would rate that very highly for trash wise.
Okay.
It's such a great easy watch.
What other shows on?
I do not know any of these other ones.
Did you never watch Grimgar Fantasy? What's it? Illusions and Ash?
No.
I actually genuinely recommend this show so much.
Which one?
Now I have to find it.
No, just point me to the poster and the...
It's the second one over here.
Mm.
Basically, a bunch of teenagers wake up in this building and they have no memories of their past lives except their names. And then they suddenly get told, hey, you guys need to form teams, and you need to go like you need to become adventurers. Otherwise, it will give you cash, and you'll be out on yours. And okay, so everyone teams up, and just like some of the leftovers, some of the dregs, form a team, and they struggle a lot, and it's very realistic. One of their team members dies early on, but he was their like healer, but he was also their leader and their tank, and he was just covered for a lot of them. And was
being a tank and a healer.
Like that's the thing, because they struggled to make any progress, and then the one person that was keeping them together dies, and it's all about them as friends and individuals coming to terms with it and like trying to grow. My biggest problem with the show is that it's one season, 12 episodes.
No conclusion.
It ends with them like saying, "Oh, we finally bought our full licenses," and them going on to the next town. But I read the manga, ends at the exact same point. There's a bit of extra information in the manga, but it just never got any further, and that's the biggest disappointment to me, because it's genuinely such a good story-driven show. It really, really is.
Sorry, as you were describing this, I just thought about Angel Beats.
Ooh.
Does Angel Beats count?
No, because they're in purgatory. They're not in. But this show, for me, genuinely, I don't want to put towards the top here. Hey,
really, over your cooking show?
It is. It's more fantasy. Like there's very little callback to that.
You've got to put it further down, just based on the fact that it was only one season.
Yeah,
conclusion.
I'd put it above a wrong way to use healing, but it is on it. But it is just a fantasy. Fuck.
No, I think it's fine where you had it.
Okay, but I think it's a phenomenal show. I don't know if it's necessarily like a great isekai, but that is part of the mystery, and I guess they're trying to find out how they've ended up there. But goddamn, I wish there was more of it. The one show I haven't watched but desperately want to is called Isekai Izakaya. Apparently, it's like very slice of lifey, very wholesome. But basically, it's an izakaya, so like a little tavern, and it's all about these people that own the tavern that make really good food, and denizens of another world come there, and like humans come there. So it's essentially like a restaurant anime, but you just have different people from different like worlds coming there.
Standalone episodes then.
As far as I'm aware, yes, but
so I'm guessing like the waiters and waitresses are kind of like the only characters you spend any real time with.
Maybe. I think as far as I'm aware, part of it is like the people that come there tell stories of their adventures and the places they come from.
Sounds cute.
It sounds cute. I think I'd want to put it like towards the top of the mid stuff, just because it has an interesting hook. But I don't know how it compares to the stuff around it right now. No, that's fair. I think that's fair. Okay, we've only got 5 shows left. None of which I've watched. Oh,
What's the second last one? That looks familiar.
It's a realistic guy rebuilds the kingdom using like strategy and know-how. Basically, a guy from Japan gets reincarnated, gets made into the king of this nation, and gets told to like fix all their problems. And he uses infrastructural thing, because he was in like civil engineering or something in Japan, and he uses his knowledge to improve the infrastructure and life of the people of this country.
Nice.
There's 2 seasons. I really enjoyed the first one. I got a bit tired by the second time, but I think it's a really good show, and it does a lot to really hammer home how advanced our society is compared to a fucking medieval Europe, and how like whack it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
But there's also magic here, and like I remember there's one episode where they essentially host like a cooking competition, because one way to boost economies is to have tourism, and an easy way for tourism to build is by having really good food in a country and like culture. I think it's a really good show. Probably not in sit down with. Actually, maybe your mom and dad or like your parents will really enjoy the like.
You got engineer parents.
Engineering, economics, and all that kind of stuff. Dude, my eyes don't work well enough.
I think it's called From Love and something.
Oh, this is
and Villainous.
This is an Otome game anime. I cannot actually search much longer. I am getting so exhausted.
Nearly there, Bjorn. Just pushed through.
Oh, dude, you're right. We should not have done as many anime. I'm struck.
You treated me like an idiot in the WhatsApp group.
I know.
When I was like 50 anime.
I will say this one I think is quite high up. Probably not towards the top here, but it is. It's actually the one I thought it was earlier. If you'll just give me a second, I think it is the highest ranked Otome anime we got here. At least I thought it was. My goodness, people do not like female protagonists.
Let's talk about that one there.
Which one?
Scroll up.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
So this is Kakuryu Bed and Breakfast for Spirits. Essentially,
another one of those ones that you're talking about.
Kind of. So, woman, like her grandfather runs a bed and breakfast. She learns from him. He dies. She inherits it. Turns out, he had a massive debt to like demons and spirits.
Yeah.
And she has to marry like this one spirit or something to pay off his debt.
And is that one spirit super hot?
I think so. But she also says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pay off his debt by like running this bed and breakfast. That's the basic premise. Seems interesting. When I was searching up like the images to use for the thumbnails in the tier list, the like second I typed in the name, so Kakuryu no Yadomeshi, and then the like second search result was like the main character, which is Aoi. And then the word pregnant. So I didn't search. I promise I did not go into that search result.
Is this for your significant other?
No, I just think potentially this is going to be something. Actually, it might be very wholesome, but I'll put it at the bottom. I'll put it at the bottom of practically just a fantasy anime because I can't be certain that it's wholesome. Then, dude, where is this?
Keep going down.
Oh, here's the Realist Hero one, hey? How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. We just talked about it now. Pretty good as far as I'm aware. But I promise you that this is too far down now. None of the shows are from here. We've gone past the 50 anime point. Oh, Otome Game, no, this is the flag one, but this is the second season of it. I need to try and find the... There we go. I'm in love with the villainess. Oh, wrong one. I'm just a doers. Rei Uehashi is a burned out office worker, but one day...
I remember people talking about this last year.
But Otome Game heroine, okay. Oh, okay, so she plays Otome games by night.
Yeah.
After her long work day, she chills out, and then one day she, I don't know, falls asleep. And when she wakes up, she is reincarnated as the villainess. But then it's all about...
I mean, it's just completely bog standard, but I want to... Isekai Quartet, you didn't want to put that in as one of the...
From Isekai Quartet is an ensemble show, and there are multiple seasons of it.
Yeah.
So it's taking characters from other shows in it. And I know it's...
But in itself, they get isekai'd.
I know, but because it's an ensemble show and not necessarily its own thing, I didn't want to include it.
That's so great. I really
But can we go back to the one? We really have to finish this list now.
It's a bog standard one. Just
it's generic.
Just shove it in the middle.
It's almost like you can tell we're getting exhausted. Just somewhere in the middle.
Put it at the bottom.
We rather...
No.
We're putting it in rather watch Redo Over Healer on repeat. Now, dude, can you... I need to go up close to read these. What did the last two say?
That's way too small for me to say.
My next life as a villainess. This one is the highly ranked one. Okay, and then the other one is the Magical Revolution, Reincarnated Princess, Genius Young Lady. Okay, so I
know the first one. I don't know the second one.
I don't know the first one. I do know the second one. So can you please talk to us about the first one?
No, and I know it as like I've heard of it. I've seen it. I've seen people talk, but not I've seen it.
I trusted you, hushav. But now I've... it's weirdly enough, I'm going to have to blur this, but it's right next to you. So my next life as a villainess, all routes lead to doom. I think there is a second season of it, but it's kind of bog standard. It's decently ranked. But I think it's also relatively bog standard.
I'm reading the blurb for the...
I tried looking for this on anime websites and it did not show up. So clearly the wrong websites to be looking at. Hushav, I need you to stop looking at hentai.
You're the one who had it there. You could have put the search so it doesn't have hentai in it.
Anyways, this my next life as a villainess. And And then the last one,
I'd rather watch Redo Reveal. I don't give a fuck.
I do not give a fuck about. I tried. I had high hopes for it. Basically, you had this person. I think she was reincarnated, but there are very few callbacks to her previous life, except saying that like she wanted to fly, and I think in her previous life she wanted to use magic, and then she gets reborn in a world where she had magic. But there's very little callbacks, except that she becomes like an inventor, and she invents like useful things using magic. But very like meh. I wouldn't want to rewatch it. I think it is a very harsh ranking. Some of those in the bottom tier should probably not be there, but I'm okay.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? We have lives. We can't watch all these animes. I think we actually did quite a. We actually know quite a few.
I've probably watched a good like 70% of the things on here. Either way, so that's our list. Obviously,
the top 50 anime, isekai anime.
Our top 4 are KonoSuba, Slime, Reincarnated as a Slime, Eminence and Shadow, and Iruma-kun. And I think those are very fair. The ones in Proudly Sit Down, I think there's a good in our A tier. There's such a good variety within isekai.
Yeah,
you have ones that are just funny, slice of lifey. There's ones that are more action or like dystopian or like very real and dramatic. I think our A tier is incredibly solid. Our B tier is bloated and a mess of things that we haven't watched. Easier to say I'm watching Korn. This group has
first 3 of the 4 makes sense, and why we put it here. Yes. I'm not sure about the one.
Yeah, I think I wish these could be in the top tiers, but they just contain too much stuff that's just too tough to explain to other people. And then the bottom tier, I'd rather watch Read Over Heal on repeat, are just things that are too generic or disappointing.
And also at the back end, and we just stop caring.
But yeah, that does conclude our list. I think, holy moly.
Lessons were learned.
We will not do another 50. But if you want to do this yourself, or you want to look at ours, you're more than welcome to. You can go onto
if you want to make us a tier list.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be great.
You can go onto tiermaker.com. This will be under our profile as Underleveled, or you can just look up top 50 isekai anime tier list, and it should pop up. We actually are like super interested to see yours. If you start putting all the real degenerate stuff at the top, then we know what you are.
If I see No Game No Life or Mushoku Tensei in the top tier, FBI open up.
But yeah, let's round this out. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
I've been Bjorn.
I've been Hushav. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell your mom. Go vote.
Maybe
South Africa.
Oh yeah, that's tomorrow. Watch some of these anime. If there's 1 or 2 in the top 2 tiers that you haven't seen, definitely go give them a shout.
Let us know from the ones that we didn't watch, which should we really go check out.
Especially, there's definitely some like classics that we should go and educate ourselves upon.
Probably.
But yeah, we're tired. I need to go to the bathroom. We hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for listening or watching. What's your catchphrase again, Hushav? The one that makes me cringe?
Until next time, level up.
So cringe.